Hello, welcome again to the lecture series on automobile engineering. Now we will discuss Hotchkiss and torque tube drive. So you have seen in the powertrain, so far we have covered the engine, that is the power plant, then the clutch part of it, the transmission part, all this we have studied. Now from this point onwards, how exactly the motion is transmitted to the wheels, we will discuss these issues, right? Now let me talk about the Hotchkiss drive. What is this Hotchkiss drive? You can see this is the simplest and most widely used type of rear axle drive. Rear axle drive. So you please see here, this is the transmission. This is the output shaft of the transmission. Here we have a universal joint. Then this is the propeller shaft. We have another universal joint. Then there is what you can call it as final drive and the differential. Then this wheel rotates, then the vehicle moves forward. Okay, so this is what we call it as a rear axle drive system. Now you see here the way the wheel is suspended to this vehicle frame. You can see there is an axle casing, and this is what we have, a set of leaf springs. Okay, this part, axle casing on this is bolted. Alright, then you can see this leaf spring, one end is connected to a bracket which is fixed to the frame of the vehicle. Other side we have connected to the shackle. Actually this will have a movement like this, because when it moves up, this length will increase, that time it will move like this. When it goes down, this length will decrease, it moves this way. Correct? Now this is what you can see constructionally. Now you see the beauty of this spring, what exactly it does. Definitely whatever weight is there, the vehicle weight is there, is coming onto this spring, rear springs, this side, left and right, and it is coming onto the axle, then to the wheel, like this. So it carries the weight of the vehicle, this spring, one part. Okay, takes the weight of the body. There is a torque reaction. Also takes the torque reaction. Then takes the driving thrust. Takes the side thrust while rolling. Torque reaction, driving thrust, side thrust. Okay, so this is what exactly it is going to take. Let me explain what we mean by vehicle weight, driving thrust, torque reaction and side thrust. As I explained in earlier section, engine develops the torque T, then this torque gets multiplied the gear, this thing, transmission, that is gear ratio into torque of the engine. Again this will go to the final drive, again GR, then torque of the engine, then final drive. Again, all these things are, if you see, this is the torque that comes to the wheel. If this torque, correct, is divided by the radius of the wheel, then you will get the traction force. For every force, so assume that the vehicle is moving in this direction. For every force, there is going to be a reaction. Correct? This is what I call it as driving thrust. So this leaf spring is connected like this. This has to take this kind of a thing. So this leaf spring has to take the not only weight of the vehicle, it also has to take the driving thrust. Then let me tell you what exactly the torque reaction is. You take this vehicle. Let us say you are driving this vehicle at a particular speed. Correct. Or let us say the vehicle is stationary. Now all of a sudden, when you open the throttle or accelerate the vehicle, certain weight which is there in the front axle, that gets transferred to the rear axle. This is what we call it as dynamic load transfer. Because of this, so initially it had its own load. Now some amount of load got transferred so that this spring or suspension spring stretches up and more load comes, this gets compressed. Then the vehicle front portion gets lifted up and the rear portion goes down. This we call it as squatting phenomenon. Correct? It's squatting phenomenon. Same way, the vehicle is running at high speed. All of a sudden, if I brake, the load gets transferred from the dynamic load gets transferred from the front axle, from the rear axle to the front axle. Because of that, what happens? This gets lifted up and this goes down. This we call dive phenomenon. The other one is squat and dive. So whenever we accelerate, the vehicle squat. Whenever we brake, the vehicle dives. Okay, now you see here, because of that, what really happens like this. You can see over here the leaf spring. So here this is, taking a turn like this, lifting this front springs. That's the kind of thing. This is what happens. It rolls because of this leaf spring moves up. This is what happens. This happens due to squat, or this happens while accelerating the vehicle, because the load gets transferred to the rear and this axle, you see here, it rolls like this and pulling this front part of the leaf spring up. Whenever we brake the vehicle, what's going to happen? The same thing, you see here, it pulls the rear portion up. So that is what exactly this has to take up, this torque reaction. See here, torque reaction has to take up. Correct? Now, so I explained that driving thrust and other things. Okay, fine. Torque reaction, you can see here, this is what happens. This you can see in the coil spring suspension system. This is how it looks like. In the leaf spring suspension, this is how it looks like. Fine. Next thing is, you observe here, what's going to happen? Suppose you assume this vehicle is taking a turn like this. Whenever it is taking a turn, then there is going to be a lateral force. What is the lateral force value? Or what you call it as a centrifugal force, mass into a lateral acceleration. I call it as mass into AY. This will be trying to take the vehicle away from the center. This is what you call it as lateral acceleration value. This is the linear velocity or is the radius of this curve. So for this force, there should be a reaction. This is what we call it as the grip force. There will be lateral force will be acting on this. This is coefficient of friction and this is acceleration due to gravity between the wheel surface or tire surface and the ground. That is what exactly happens. As long as, like, you can observe over here these lateral forces. It all depends on the load transfer. So there is going to be more load on outside wheel, less load on the inside wheel. That's why the reaction will be larger on the outer wheel and reaction will be less in this thing. Because of this wheel trying to slide like this. Okay, because of the difference in forces. Okay, you observe here, there is an opposite force here and this force here. This is what we call it as something like lateral or side thrust. So to reduce the side thrust and all those kind of a thing, we put a bar like this. This bar we call it as Penard rod to reduce or prevent the lateral movement. Okay, so there are many other ways to do this. This is one of the ways that we do it in trucks, Penard bar. That's how it takes the side thrust. Correct. Now you can understand that the Hotchkiss drive is the simplest and most widely used type of a rear axle drive. In this case, this spring, besides taking weight of the body, also takes the torque reaction. You have understood the torque reaction, correct? This is the one. Or here, whether the vehicle is accelerating or the vehicle is braking, based on that it will take the torque reaction, it will take the driving thrust. So you are going to have a traction force. Opposite to the traction force, you will have the driving thrust and the side thrust, which I explained. Okay, the propeller shaft which will be driving this with the two universal joints, one here, and also yes, it will have a sliding joint. I will explain that. There will be a sliding joint here. The spring is fixed rigidly in the middle to the rear axle. I explained this. Front end of the spring is fixed rigidly on the frame, and while the rear end is supported in the shackle, and drive thrust is transmitted to the frame by the front half of the springs. Okay, so this is what we call it as a Hotchkiss drive. That's how the motion is transmitted from the transmission or gearbox to the rear wheel. Sometimes in vehicles we use something called radius rod. Correct? You can observe here. So this is the rear. Correct? There's a universal joint. Then of course you will have your transmission and all that. You can see that this rod is what we call it as a radius rod. Basically, to control wheel motion in the longitudinal direction, fore-apt direction. Fore-apt means to say something like it will be pitching, correct? So that is the kind of thing that will happen. To reduce this, normally that is used. If you see the suspension in the vehicle, suspension and all that, later we will study the various types of suspension and all. You will have radius rod that is separate. In addition to that, you will have a sway bar, correct? This is what you call it as. This we call it as anti-roll bar. Anti-roll bar, correct? This is something about x-axis. The vehicle will be trying to roll. To reduce that rolling action, this is used. This is not like this. This is the front, this is the rear, fore, aft, before and after. That is the thing. This will become y-axis. About y-axis means it is going to be pitch. Correct. About x-axis, if you draw like this x-axis, about this axis, this will be moving up and down and kind of thing. Then the rolling effect will. So that is why it is called anti-roll bar. The other one is the radius rod. Okay. So they are different. Okay. Another type of drive, that is what in most of the vehicles, this is what Hotchkiss drive is very, very popular. Popular rear wheel drive. Okay. Another one is what you can call it the torque tube drive. Okay. Here you can observe. Okay. Again, you have the gearbox. Output shaft of the gearbox. Then here you have a torque tube. There is a tube. Inside that there is a shaft that will be driving this. Okay. Then such a drive we call it as a torque tube drive. So in the Hotchkiss drive you have seen the spring takes too much of responsibility, you can say, too much of stress. Weight of the vehicle, driving thrust, torque reaction, side thrust, all will be taken up by this leaf spring. In a torque tube drive, spring takes only the side thrust besides supporting the weight of the body and side thrust. The other two, what are the other two? Driving thrust and the torque reaction, that will be taken by the tube. Torque reaction and driving thrust are taken up by another member which is called the torque tube. This is how you can see the torque tube, a hollow tube. So you can see here I have written one end of the torque tube is attached to the axle casing. Axle casing here through this. While the other end, which is spherical shape, fits in the cup fixed to the frame as shown in figure. The torque tube encloses the propeller shaft. It is a hollow tube. Through this, the propeller shaft passes through. Okay. Since in this case the torque tube takes the torque reaction, the center line of the bevel pinion shaft will not shift and further it will always pass through the center of the spherical cup. If the propeller shaft is connected to the gearbox shaft by means of a universal joint situated exactly in the center of the spherical cup. In such a situation, no universal joint is needed at the rear of the propeller shaft. Here there is universal joint, here there is no universal joint. Correct. In the other Hotchkiss drive, you will find two universal joints there. Okay. Also no sliding joint here. Again, there is no sliding joint is provided, which I have not explained. I will explain just in another few minutes. Both the pinion shaft and propeller in this case will move about the same center. So only thing is, please understand that in the torque tube drive, there are four things that the leaf spring has to take: weight, correct, then torque reaction, then driving thrust, then side thrust. Only thing is I am introducing, instead of stressing the leaf spring too much with all the types of loads, Some are transferred to the torque tube. It is a hollow tube connected here. Through this, the propeller shaft runs. Okay. Next, again you just go back to the Hotchkiss drive. Here you have the universal joint, here you have the universal joint. Let us look at, even in the torque tube drive, you have one universal joint here. This is known as universal joint, U-joint, Cardan joint, Hardy's Weiser joint, Hooke's joint, so many names they call it. Very clearly you can see that one shaft is at an angle to the other shaft. Correct. So here you have seen this. These are called, this is a yoke, this is also yoke. This one and this one. These two are yokes. And the center, this cross type pin, we call it as spider. And here you have trunnions. Okay, this is the construction of the universal joint. Okay, the idea is we want to transmit this motion at an angle. So that's why we have used universal joint. Now look at this way. Yeah, this is the way it's done. You see here, when this fellow rotates perpendicular to the plane. If you draw, it will be perfectly, it is generating a circle. Correct. When this part rotates, if you project it, it is an ellipse. Correct. Now it is covering, say one rotation means 360 degree. When this makes 360 degree, this also makes 360 degree. You can see here this way it's rotating with constant velocity. So this is from 0 to 360 degree, it will be rotating with a constant velocity omega. This is a horizontal line. But when this is driving shaft will be running at constant velocity. But the driven shaft, if you look at, so there is a variation in its velocity. Correct? Because it is following elliptical path. Okay. Now the question is, this is because of this omega, this varying. Then what is going to happen? This is like, velocity changes. Then what is going to happen? Then there is definitely going to be an acceleration. Acceleration means it is going to generate a kind of a side force. And that side force, alternatively it is acting and it may create a jerky motion. Okay, this is what really happens in this. Correct? This is, please observe that. This is, if I project this, it is an ellipse. This, if I project, this will be a circle. So this is running with a constant velocity, and now we'll get this kind of a thing. That's why at the end, you put one more universal joint. If you put one more universal joint out of phase, then that will also create a jerk. And these two cancel each other. So that is the advantage of using double Cardan joint, two universal joints. Okay, because rate of change of velocity is acceleration into mass is always a force. That's how this force comes into picture. A configuration known as double Cardan joint drive shaft partially overcomes the problem of jerky rotation. Okay, this is what exactly, I think whatever I explained, the same thing has been written over here. Sometimes to avoid this problem, you can see here constant velocity joints, homokinetic or CV joints, constant velocity joints. Mostly you can find this in front wheel drive vehicles. Look at this. This is the wheel, this is the wheel, this is the driving shaft. Okay, here you will have the differential. Look here, here, these places, you will have constant velocity joints. Okay, so these places will have constant velocity joint. We call them as CV joints. You can observe over here, as it rotates, these balls will move and try to maintain constant R, so that the velocity is constant. There will not be any acceleration. CV joints. So that will not be any jerky motion as such. Okay, through a variable angle at constant rotational speed without an appreciable increase in friction or play. They are mainly used in front wheel drive and all wheel drive cars. Rear wheel drive cars with independent rear suspension typically use CV joints at the end of the rear axle half shafts and increasingly use them on the propeller shafts. So Audi Quattros use them for all four half axles and on front to rear drive shafts, as well as for a total of 10 CV joints like this, constant velocity. So please understand the difference between constant velocity joint and universal joint, and the problem of using universal joint and how we can overcome that problem using double Cardan joint, and what exactly we mean by constant velocity joint or CV joint. Now the propeller shaft, you have seen that already. We have explained this. You have the one universal joint and another universal joint, and this shaft we call it as the propeller shaft, drive shaft or driving shaft, or propeller shaft or Cardan shaft, to transmit that motion at an angle. Again, you have a shaft here. Okay, so you can see that there is some vehicles, there will be two-piece propeller shafts and other things. Okay, so because we have to reduce the height of the vehicle, then that is the reason why we do these kind of things like that. Otherwise, if you put this propeller shaft at an angle, to accommodate that, we have to increase the height of the vehicle. Height of the vehicle increases when center of gravity of the vehicle increases, its stability decreases. To lower this, they use two-piece propeller shaft. Okay, you can see here now. Sometimes what happens, as the vehicle moves up and down, and suspension, right, particularly the spring, leaf spring, which is hemi spherical. So now the question is, by chance when the load is more, then what is going to happen? Its length will be increasing like this. So this point will remain the same. Let me do this length, then this will try to increase. So then what is going to happen? This fellow, this will also move. So the shaft length has to increase. That's why we will have a slip joint. Okay, simply it will slide like this. So you'll have it's a spine shaft basically. Correct? Basically, spline shaft. To accommodate that length, they provide this one. So then at the end of this shaft, you see here, the end of this shaft, you have a pinion, and that will drive this ring gear. So there is a further reduction. This is what we call it as the final drive. Correct? This is how you get. Now the question comes, next is, here you will have a differential. Using the differential, we transmit the motion to the axles. Okay, that is what we mean by final drive. Thus, there is a further reduction in speed over here. So you can see anything if you take in the so suppose the engine is running with a speed of NE. When it passes through this, Because of the transmission, there will be a speed reduction, say approximately 3:1. Then again, in the final drive, there will be a further reduction. Totally, there will be, say, multiply the 9:1 reduction. It all depends upon what gear ratio we have. So when we decrease the speed, of course, torque multiplication happens. So let us stop at this point. Then the next topic we will discuss is differential. Okay, thank you, and we will meet again.